On Face Roll Gaming, back again. I'm about to start another build, and I've actually got some sponsors from all the positive responses with the desk build that I did. So I've got MSI on board, EK Wood Blocks, and a bunch of others. I'll link them in the description, and you'll see, you know, some of their logos in the video. You probably, well, actually I would have shown them at the start. So yeah, I thought I'd make this video as the first progress video for my next build. I've actually started on it, and so far it's turned out well. I'm sort of planning as I go along as well. I don't have a final sort of idea and plan of how I want it to turn out, but I've got, you know, different ideas which are sort of working out as I progress with the build. And yeah, so I thought I'd show you around, show you some of the equipment that's going to be in the build, some of the equipment that I've been sponsored, and some ideas that I have with the build. So yeah, let's have a look around. As some of you guys may know, this is a red and black themed build. I'll be using some rigid acrylic tubing, and yeah, it's going to be a computer inside of a cabinet. As you can see, I'm not the best of artists, but you know, that'll do. I'll be running 3 reservoirs, a dual pump, and 2 radiators. Where you can see those red fans up the top, there'll be a radiator sitting on both them sides. And that on face roll is my gaming name. That is just a piece of black acrylic with some red fluorescent acrylic behind it, and there'll be some LED lights behind that to illuminate that, so that's really good. This is sort of some rough tubing that I did, but yeah, that's definitely going to change because I've taken that side wall out right here, and that radiator is now 2 radiators which will be sitting where that acrylic bit is, and that acrylic bit is moving down 1 level. So yeah, that's changed a bit, but that's where I have started, and so far it's turning out well with my build. Over here is my airbrush kit. I'm planning to do a bit of airbrush work on the side of the cabinet, so hopefully that'll turn out nice. And yeah, I wouldn't mind, I don't know, maybe some sort of logo or my gaming name down the side, but yeah, we'll see what happens there, and hopefully it turns out pretty good. So I received this from MSI. It's Gaming 7 Z97 motherboard, which is very nice. Thank you, MSI. Yeah, it's a really nice motherboard. That'll be inside the build, as well as all the other components and that I have. I'm actually taking the Exona Phoebus from inside of my desk, and I'll be putting that inside the red and black theme build as well. And yeah, that'll look pretty nice in there. On this motherboard will be the 4790K, which I'm hoping to overclock. Okay, we'll head over to the garage now and have a quick look at the cabinet build, where it's at, and what other plans I have to do with it. And yeah, one thing I'd like to mention before we head over is I bought this cabinet second hand. They were trying to charge me about $35 for the cabinet. I saw potential in it, so I didn't really want to pay $35, but I did want it. So what I did was it had a lock in it, and I asked them if they had the key, and they tried different keys and they couldn't get it unlocked. But what I had already found before is I could easily take the lock, like I could push this lock out. This is the lock here, don't know if you can see, but that's the lock there, and I knew I could already push it out. So because they couldn't unlock it, they gave me a discount, so I ended up getting the cabinet for $15, which I thought was a pretty good bargain. And yeah, I was going to take the lock out anyway, so it worked out well for me in the end. So yeah, let's go to the garage and have a quick look. Welcome back, guys. So this is the cabinet. This is how I bought it, minus the wall there, which I had taken out to make more room, but I'll show you guys that a bit closer. Yeah, so I thought it was a pretty good build. I saw a lot of potential in it, and yeah, just as soon as I saw it, I came up with a lot of ideas, so I had to get it, and yeah, I think it looks pretty nice. It's just an old cabinet which I'm trying to refurbish and hopefully create something good out of it. Okay, as we move around the back here, we can see, you know, there's no backing on it. I took that off. It was just old and whatever. I'll be replacing it with some new MDF wood over there. Here on this top shelf is where the radiators will sit. As you had seen previously in my rough sketch, you saw the red fans at the back and at the front. That's where the radiators are. So I'll have one going across the back there and one at the front laying across there. On the second shelf we have my acrylic gaming name, which will be sitting at the front with an LED strip running below it to illuminate it very nicely. And pretty much that's just there to hide the power supply, which will be sitting in here as well. I'm just going to be creating like a, I don't know, something to anchor it in. Might create a PSU cover, but that's not something desperate because you're not going to be seeing it anyway. What I'm going to have to do though is going to have to cut this section back a tiny bit so I have some room to route the cables down, because once I put the wood on, that'll be right up against here and there'll be no room to route. So yeah, I'll make a slot in there for the cables to route down, and the cables will go through a metal sheeting which will be at the back. I'll show you that in a bit. And through little slots into the motherboard and everywhere else they need to go. Yeah, as I said before, there used to be a wall in there. I've removed that to make more room, and yeah, so that's worked out good. This is what was in there before. It's just a wall and it had like some CD racks and stuff in there, so yeah, that's removed. And yeah, let's come around the front now. So at the front here, this is where the lock I was talking about before went in. I was planning to keep this piece of wood on there, but it covers the acrylic gaming name and just it covers too much of it, and I would rather see the components inside. That would have made like a nice start or reset switch buttonhole for me to put a vandal switch in. This side here, this glass door, I'm going to have to take the glass out and I'll be extending that to the end of the cabinet over here, so I'll be able to see everything inside. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take the door off and I'll show you step by step where I'm at. Okay, so down the bottom there, what I've done is I've cut out some small chunks of wood. They're all equal height and they'll be screwed down to the bottom of the cabinet. What they are doing is they're going to be elevating a metal sheeting platform, and the elevation is so I can route cables underneath, so I've got some neat cable management. There'll only be like hard drive cables and, you know, the pump cables and that running through there, so they're about 2 centimeters off the ground, so that's plenty of space for them cables to be routed through. Okay, over at the side of the cabinet here, you can see that I've done a cutout. I haven't sanded it back or anything yet or neatened it up, but that's for my motherboard tray to slide in. That'll just slide in there nicely, and I'll show you a bit later on what it looks like. But yeah, so it's just for it to slide in and motherboard to sit on. The motherboard tray will be screwed onto the back metal sheeting, so that'll be nice and secure in place, and it'll also screw into the wood, so that won't be moving at all. It's pretty sturdy. Here's the metal sheeting I was talking about. It's all cut to size and all ready to go. That'll just be going inside and lining the insides of the cabinet. I'll show you it without the blocks in there because it's just easier for me to get it in and out. But yeah, you get the idea. So that's with the metal sheeting in place. Obviously I've got to screw it and glue it to the wall. It's just sitting in there right now, and the motherboard tray will be sitting in there. So this is with the motherboard tray roughly in place. And yeah, I think that's going to look very nice. As you can see, the metal sheeting. It's a bit shiny, so I'm going to paint that a matte black to go with the colour theme, and yeah, they'll look very nice with the black and red motherboard in and the red tubing. Okay, so here's a rough idea where I'm at. As I said before, that acrylic gaming name there, I'm Face Roll, that'll have some red behind it, some red fluorescent acrylic, and that'll light up nice. In there you can see a radiator up the top. I'm going to have a piece of, I'd say, MDF wood going across there, and I'm going to cut out some holes for my custom made grill, which I'm going to make. So that'll be nice. And yeah, all that sheet metal, that'll be painted a nice matte black, and on the side there you can see one tube reservoir. I'll just move down here for you guys. You can see one tube reservoir. They'll be actually hanging up on the side of the wall, and there'll be 3 of them. And down there you can see a hard drive. Underneath it is some red perspex. I just haven't taken the sheeting off to prevent some scratches. Yeah, so there'll be 2 hard drives. They'll both be sitting on the red perspex, and that'll illuminate nicely around the edge, a nice red edge. And there'll be 4 SSDs sitting across there as well. And down here, which will be below the reservoirs, there'll be my dual pump. So that'll be good. The reservoirs are constantly feeding liquid into the pump, so it'll never run dry. And yeah, you can imagine what the rest is going to look like. You're going to have the motherboard sitting on the motherboard tray, and whatever else needs to be done. Obviously, I'm going to be drilling some holes down through the wood for the acrylic tubing to route through, and it'll make its way down here onto here. So what's going on down here is this will be raised about 2 centimeters, as I showed you before, and I'll be cutting some slight holes in it for the cables to be routed under, and then they'll come out and join to the motherboard. So yeah, I've got all of that planned at this stage, and I just need to screw everything in place and that, so there's no gaps like you can see there. Obviously that's all going to be fixed once it's all screwed in place. So yeah, that's where the build's at the moment, and so that'll be your aim, 3 reservoirs, the dual pump, 2 hard drives, 4 SSDs, the motherboard, and up here you can see the 2 radiators with the Bitfinex red LED PWM fans, and the I'm Face Roll acrylic logo. Now, as for airflow, underneath here on the top there'll also be a bit of metal sheeting on there, but obviously because they're not screwed down I can't show you that at the moment. I'll be cutting out a hole, and that'll let some air in. I'll put some maybe 220mm fans in there, so that'll allow for some good airflow, and these radiator fans will act as, you know, fans to get some air out or take air in, depending on if I want to do a push or a pull configuration, or I may even decide to do both. But yeah, that's it for now, so until next time.